Hi everyone, I'm immigration lawyer John Khosravi. Thank you for joining us today. February 17th, 2021 at 5 p.m. Pacific time, doing our regular Q&A, taking your questions live about U.S. immigration. And a lot of changes are happening, but I'm going to start with the most important one, which is nothing yet, President Biden's immigration bill. So let's jump into that right now. So, I've been getting a lot of calls constantly from people saying, now that Biden's new bill is here, how can I go straight to citizenship? I don't have status, I entered without permission, but I did this. How does Biden's bill help me? How does the new rule help me? You got to understand, there is no new rule yet. Now, Biden and his people and the Democrats are going to introduce the bill tomorrow, and we saw them see how it looks like. And potentially they said if you're a farm worker or if you came as a minor child for farm work or were a farm worker, potentially, we don't have the exact details, you came as a child on DACA kind of thing. In some other categories, TPS, you get a path to immediate green card, and another version of it is, we wait 7 years, then you get a green card, eventually citizenship. But it's all talk. Because when you propose a bill in Congress, when you want a new law to be passed, it's kind of like buying a car in the United States. Or anywhere in the world, you negotiate in a market. First you say one thing, usually one side says their highest number, and the other side comes with the lowest number, and then they negotiate back and forth, back and forth. And eventually, a decision's made, or most of the time, almost every time, no decisions made at the end. They can't come to a conclusion, and no decisions been going to happen. And frequently, this has happened in immigration cases. In President Obama's time, this happened. So the idea of comprehensive immigration reform, we don't know if what's going to happen or not. Eventually, it seems because the Democrats control both houses, something's going to come. But it might help some people and not others. It might be a very specific, unique circumstance of people that will be affected by it. So just be prepared. If a lawyer tells you, or a notario, or someone who says they're a lawyer, does legal work, pay me money now for a new rule, run away. There shouldn't be anyone accepting money, especially not lawyers or anybody else, frankly, to say I'm going to help you with the new rule, because there is no new rule, there is no new law. That's just someone trying to hook you in, get your money, and it potentially will not happen. It's completely inappropriate for a lawyer to ask for money for Biden's new rule or new law until we have exactly what the new rule is and know exactly what the forms and paperwork are. We don't know what that's going to look like, and most likely, even if this does become law, it's going to be many months before that happens, because once they even pass a new law, they send it to Department of Homeland Security to figure out the forms and the paperwork, and it takes a long time for them to make the decision. So even if today they did pass a law, it would be many, many months, at least 60 days, probably 90 days, frankly, probably like 6 months, before they could even process how it's going to look. And keep in mind, if millions of people all of a sudden going to get status in the United States, how is the Immigration Department going to handle any of this? Right now, as it is, on the lower numbers of cases that they're handling, we're barely getting receipts. It's taking 3-4 months to get a filing receipt. It used to take 3 weeks. People aren't getting biometrics appointments. Embassies are mostly shut down and not doing interviews. So how is that actually going to happen? We don't know. There has to be a lot of funding, but you can't just turn this on overnight. You got to train people on immigration law, and it's very complicated. I'm a trainer, I'm a professor of immigration law. Just getting other lawyers to understand is difficult because it's written so badly and so complicated. So none of this is happening overnight. Probably will be a year before we see anything, and even after that happens, there'll be a lot of other stuff. So I know a lot of people want this to happen. It affects a lot of families. A lot of families are stressing out at night, not knowing what's going to happen next. They want work permits, be able to pay taxes and live a normal life in the United States. And I wish that for your family as well if you're in this circumstances. But there's nothing happening yet, so be prepared for that, and don't give your money to anyone. It's not appropriate. Zari asks, question, do you know if tourist visas from Iran to US are still on hold? Well, yes and no. If you visited Iran the last 2 weeks, they're probably not going to schedule for an interview because there's a COVID ban for Iran, first of all. Second of all, a lot of the embassies don't have the bandwidth to handle any cases, so even if because of COVID, they're not fully staffed, so they're probably not going to schedule an interview for a case that's not a priority, like a tourist visa. Now, if you're an Iranian and you're living in Mexico, maybe Mexico's doing some interviews. Now, maybe you could get a tourist visa, or you could apply for one. Who knows if you get it? But if you're in Iran and you're trying to schedule an appointment at the embassy to get a tourist visa, it's probably not going to happen. I have spousal U.S. citizen cases. I have fiancés of U.S. citizens that can't get an appointment at the U.S. Embassy in Turkey, in Armenia. Iranians can't even go to Abu Dhabi or Dubai right now because they've travel banned Iran and a lot of other countries. So practically speaking, you could give it a shot. It might work, but if you're from Iran, probably not going to happen to get a tourist visa at this point if you're in Iran. Tariq asks, how can a nursing student apply for a green card? Well, if you're a nursing student, the U.S., because of the limited number of nurses that are here, there's a shortage of nurses. They have special programs to help nurses get their green cards easier and faster. However, you still need to have an employer apply for you. So if you're a nurse, hospital wants to hire you, they already know about the program. They'll have their immigration attorneys that can help apply for your green card. And hopefully, once your nursing's done, you do OPT there while that's pending. You apply for the green card, and hopefully not from a country that's super backed up, and hopefully you get the green card. But that's a very short synopsis, and we have to really know the individual details of your case to see what's going on with you. So it's not something I could generally just talk exactly here, but that's an overview of the process. Hossein asks, sir, is disorderly contact bad for Asylee? Well, it depends on the facts of what happened. Hossein, I can't answer that question without knowing specifics. President Trump tried to make it harsh where like even semi-minor kind of stuff for Asylees could get them prevented from getting asylum status. But we got to review exactly what the record is for you, the court conviction is, to see what's going on and make a decision there if it's bad or good or what consequences it has. So definitely you should consult with an immigration attorney. Every time you have some sort of criminal issue, you run in with the police, talking with a lawyer is always best before you're making decisions. Now Gio says, hello sir, is people coming to visit the U.S. with a B1, B2 visa from Morocco still possible? Yeah, if they have a tourist visa, they could try to visit. It's when someone enters the United States on a tourist visa, it's always up to the officer at the airport to whether they're going to let them in. So most people come in, but who knows, you are from Morocco on a tourist visa, enter the airport, Los Angeles, New York, Atlanta, wherever, and the officer might not let you in for some reason. So can they? Yeah, you can always ask to enter. Whether you can enter or not, it's not up to me. It's up to an immigration officer at the airport. It's customs officer CBP whether they're going to let you in. Sometimes the airlines won't let you in for some reason, or let you on a plane. So it's the situation there is. A question about the public charge rule, and essentially since one of the original immigration laws that came, I don't know, 240 years ago or so, was a public charge rule to prevent one of the first immigration laws that happened. That said, people that they use the term, I think, idiots and stuff like that. So they're worried that people are going to come here who can't take care of themselves, and so they would use that as public charge and say these people are not allowed in the United States because they can't take care of themselves. And there's like weird wording in there, but over the years, the state, as part of the immigration system, it's always been there, and that's what. They could always deny you if they think you can't afford to live in the United States and take care of yourself. President Trump came and made this really hard. He updated the rule and added more stuff in there to make it even more difficult, and in particular for I-944 for those applying for a green card in the United States based on most categories. And so you have to submit this form I-944 in the U.S. There's a form through the embassies, but they're not enforcing it yet, but they can always deny for public charge too on their own if they want. But the I-944 form is really complicated. You can look it up online and see how much nuance is involved. But at the end of the day, an immigration officer, whether at the embassy or in the United States, if they feel that you cannot support yourself financially, if they think you're going to come to the United States and not be able to pay for yourself, go to the hospital and not pay, all that kind of stuff, they can deny your case for public charge. So be mindful of that. It hasn't been strictly enforced yet. Now that Biden's here, probably not going to happen as strict, but it's always a tool in their toolbox that they can use. Sarah asks, can my U.S. citizen husband adopt my 5-year-old son and apply for him to come to America? Well, adoption is separate law, and if your son is outside the United States, that adoption issue is up to the laws of that country, so I don't have an answer there. However, if you marry a U.S. citizen, your child will become a stepchild, and your husband can apply for a stepchild. So that's under the age of 18 when you're married. So adoption is not necessary. Maybe if the father of the child doesn't want the child to leave, you got to deal with the legal issues in the home country. But you could do a U.S. citizen to stepchild case for the child, or even yourself if you have status, green card or citizen, you can apply for the child too. So Sarah, just consult with an immigration in private so you get the facts on what to do. All right, everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm immigration lawyer John Khosravi, headquartered in Los Angeles, but taking cases from across the world. I'm back every Wednesday, 5 p.m. Pacific time on the various social media channels for the JQK Law Firm for John Khosravi or Immigration Lawyer John. Just look that up. I'll have a library of information on YouTube that goes through a lot of different hours and hours of video content. Please subscribe, like, and comment. We can follow up with questions there, and you'll get notifications when I go live again to answer your questions as they pop up. Until next one, be safe. God bless. I hope you enjoyed this educational video. We have a second channel with much more information as well at JQK Immigration Clips. Please check that out. Also, you'll find our social media site has a lot more videos, images, and information about the U.S. immigration process. Please check those out on the various social media websites.